Welcome back to the Sens Spotlight podcast, brought to you by the Sick Podcast Network. And before we get started, bet the beauties with Betway and scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and download the app. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Betway is an official sponsor of your Ottawa Senators. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. That really helps us out. And hit that hype button on YouTube as well. Today, we are joined by the face of Coming in Hot, Brent Wallace. It should be a really fun one. I'm always beside Brent at games, and let's say there's a lot of banter. So I think I'm trying to bring that over to Sens Spotlight. So I think you guys will enjoy it. And Brent's, awesome at what he does at Coming in Hot. So hit it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Sens Spotlight.
Here's Alfredson, bursts the speed, gets a shot, and we score! Daniel Alfredson ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
The sickest Ottawa Senators podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And we are joined by Brent Wallace. Just how crazy has the last couple of days been in Sensland, and just that win last night from your vantage point?
I know we're supposed to put it into words, and I'm not really sure how exactly. Like I was through the Hamburglar run. I remember seeing that kind of hype. You sense it a little bit with this. Like the Ranger game all into itself, before we talk about the shot totals, was already without, right? Jake Sanderson, who they played a few games before. But then you're like, you need this game. You need these two games. And then they just dominate them. They end up losing 2D. You're like, how did they pull that out? And then you go into Detroit and pull that out again with two rookies on your blue line. Like that's the stuff that when you get into the playoffs, those are the games. Why?
Is that something like you covered the Hamburglar run? Like, are we getting to that territory right now, Wally, or do I need to kind of contain myself?
Well, as we always joke on it, you can take your foam finger off if you want, but I will say, like, the Hamburglar run was completely opposite, right? It was because of great goaltending they got into the playoffs. It just seemed like Andrew Hammond was going to stop everything. This is like I'm tired of constantly blaming goaltending for everything. Linus Ullmark has been very, very good in the last 19 games. He's won 13 games, I think. He's been like, he has done the job. And I thought against Detroit, he was an X factor for them. Absolutely. So it's different in that the way that they're putting it together, but in the same time, like the pesky Sens they just don't give up. They're hard to play against and they find ways to win.
Is it almost as much as like Allmark's kind of risen up and kind of matched the Sens teams in a lot of ways? Because they've been so good all year, right? Outside of maybe the PK, and then they changed that and they've been on this crazy run, and it just feels like now they're getting saves. And I thought Ullmark had his best game probably of the season if you take into account just the magnitude of the game. And in that third period, to play with 10 seconds left on Kane, just unbelievable from Ullmark.
Your season's on the line without question. And if you lose that game in Detroit, it's a really hard road for you to find a way into the playoffs. Just there's not enough racetrack left. And so he had to be good. And the end of the game is when it mattered, and he made the stop when he had to. I thought he was very, very good. We always refer back to the Vegas game where we're like, oh, he stole that game. Sure, there just wasn't as much on the line. When the game's on the line, you're missing 2D. That's where I think he became. That's his biggest game of the season.
That's on your show yesterday. I think I said it was a Linus Ullmark legacy game, and it kind of was. Like it had to be, and it was. The other kind of legacy defining game for a player was definitely Carter Yakemchuk. Just what do you make of just how excellent he was in his NHL debut?
Now, I shouldn't do this, but can we just take it down a bit? And the only reason I say that is we've been waiting for Carter Yakimchuk to play without question. Max Lajoie in his NHL debut scored a goal and had an assist. And I don't mean this as disparaging. I just mean lots of things can happen throughout an NHL career. He had a great game, and I like the way he played. I think he was very good. Now, he didn't have any defensive zone starts. We still talk about his defensive game needing to be better. Okay, sure. He's a teenager. I like it. There's no chance of him probably coming out due to the fact of the injuries they're sustaining. So he's probably going to play every game the rest of the season. I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm excited to see where it goes. Without that's a ballsy play to make a behind the back pass at the blue line. If that is not where it should be, does it get picked off and go the other way for a break? Like, do you want to be that guy that just gave up a breakaway and you're like, so I like his, can I say chutzpah? I don't even know if that's the word. I like the way he plays the game offensively without question.
He's obviously, I'm not trying to make comparables because I think this is the worst time to hype a player, but like, I think what you like about him is just that he has that chutzpah, I guess, or that kind of the balls just to make that kind of play, to be just so kind of like, you know what, it's my NHL debut. I'm not nervous. I'm going to play my game. And like a lot of people, when Erik Karlsson came into the league, that was kind of the thing on him. And I'm not saying he's going to be Erik Karlsson, but to have that poise and confidence, I think that's a really telling feature of a player.
100%. I don't think Ottawa has that type of player on the blue line at the moment. Like Jordan Spence might do it. He also I feel like Jordan Spence still has a short leash when it comes to Travis Green. But he's probably the only guy I can think of that's healthy that would even consider making a play like that. Like Carter Yakimchuk is like, well, whatever. This is what I do. Like, it's not, the moment wasn't too big for him. And that's where it became the difference. They just don't have that kind of guy that's going to just flat out play and not worry about anything going on.
And what's interesting is Green was like, yep, first NHL game, go up with the number one power play unit immediately. I was like, okay, like I think he's probably the best power, and you see it on that goal. But in his shot, like on that second goal, like that's an NHL.
Yep.
Like he might have the best shot on the team already. Like it's probably the best slap shot if you watch his highlight reels. Like I don't think anyone on the Sens has that kind of shot. And people all year have been talking about how this team doesn't have a finisher. And last night he kind of showed. And again, one game, we can all do all the caveats and preface kind of like it's one game. I don't think he's going to be on pace for 2 points a game down the stretch, but he's really good.
So I shouldn't talk about the Calder yet. Is it too early
for next year?
The one thing about like Yakimchuk is you talk about him being on the first power play unit, but as you remember, we were sitting in the stands watching when he was called up, is it twice this year, just to practice and get sent back down just after the Olympic break or during that time. He was on the first power play unit. He was always practicing with those guys. So while it is a bit of he wouldn't be there if Jake Sanderson or Thomas Chabot were around, but it's not uncommon for him to be in that position with this team based on those few practices.
And that's the thing with him is, and I believe the reason why he was in the AHL for a long time. And I know a lot of people were like, why isn't he coming up? Why is it Dennis Gilbert? And it's like, well, they needed the worry about his game wasn't about how he quarterbacked the power play. It's how he played defense and playing in his own end. And he got beat a couple times. He had a couple kind of loose turnovers, but he was fine. And Travis Green after the game's like, credit to Nolan Baumgartner. Like, as you said, he did not have to play any big minutes in his own end, and that was by choice.
Yep. Except for a couple icings, I think that was the only issue. But again, like, I don't know that we credit enough of them calling guys up, giving them some ice time with the big club just to be comfortable, to understand what everything is expected of them. So when this time arises, if they needed it, he was ready to go. And you talked about they didn't, when Thomas Chabot was healthy, they didn't need Carter Yakimchuk. They didn't need another guy because they had Jordan Spence also, who's a bit of an offensive threat. They needed Dennis Gilbert, for lack of a better term, until they both got hurt with him and Lassie Thompson.
And when Sanderson comes back, which seems like is in the next week or so, like I feel like Shawn Donovan playing the 4 minutes is probably the indicator of who. So it's probably going to be Yakemchuk until the end of the season and maybe into the playoffs, just because of the injuries. Who knows when Gilbert, Thompson, Chabot's probably out for a while. Nick Jensen's out until probably at least the second round if they make it. Like it's like they're just like, hey, here's the keys to the car. Go run.
Yeah. And there's no alternative if you want to play him on the right side. Like, and so like, even if there's no one else to consider unless Dennis Gilbert comes back and is healthy, and then you have a decision to make. But Thomas Chabot being in a sling is a bit of an issue. That doesn't look very good at all. And then Jake Sanderson coming back, you need to get him back soon, but it's still not going to take Carter Yakemchuk out of the lineup. And full credit to Jordan Donovan. Just for people that don't know, he hasn't played since March 7th and was just cleared because he sustained an injury. I think just cleared the day before or 2 days before to get back into the lineup. So
I was talking to people in Belleville when like Shabbat went down, and they're like, yeah, like Donovan's probably not playing because he's literally was just injured, right? So credit to him, and kind of cool. Like how well did you know Shawn Donovan back in the day?
Oh, I know. I know Donald pretty well. It's weird to call him Shawn for me. But yeah, like I spoke to him yesterday I'm like, hey, like, are you gone yet? He's like, nah, I got chores to do. Like he goes, I got 80 animals I got to feed here on the farm. And then he hopped in the truck and away they went to Detroit. Like just an amazing feeling as someone who's had a kid play high level hockey and nowhere near getting close to the NHL. Like, let's not be, I don't want to make this bigger than it is, but to know about all the practices, all the work that goes into it, just to get even to the next level, to be able to see your kid play in the National Hockey League, to take that warm up, I think is one of the coolest things. It's so special. It's more, I think it's more special for the parent to watch their kid play their first game than it may be for the player. There's so much that goes into it that you just sit back and appreciate it. And then to have played it, and to understand what that's all about is even a little more special.
And it'll be so surreal for him because he's going to play on Thursday against Sidney Crosby in your first home game in Ottawa. And you're from Ottawa. Your dad played for the Sens. You grew up at Sens. That's just what dreams are made of. Like what a cool feel for both of them, but specifically Donovan, just growing up in Ottawa.
100%. And I guess it was my weird stat of the day, which I didn't even bother to post, is that Shawn Donovan's second career ever game was at Detroit. Nick Jorian's first was at Detroit, but I think it'll be pretty cool. Like the first father and son duo to both play for the Sens, I think is pretty cool. Shawn Donovan, and of course, those who don't know, was a longtime player development coach for Ottawa after his career. Really well liked, really, really respected around the organization. It'll be cool for him for sure.
And just moving forward with this team, like how much confidence do you have that this team's gonna get into the playoffs? Like Money Puck is like they're at 76%. They have the tiebreaker on everyone, but they're just playing the best hockey of anyone outside of Columbus, who they're not even necessarily chasing because they're in a Metro spot right now.
I'm now okay if Columbus wins every game. I wasn't before when they were just sitting above Ottawa waiting to get in the wild card spot. But as long as Columbus keeps winning, I will cheer for Rick Bowness every day. I think it's good. Like it was really weird. The odds makers all had Ottawa as a favorite to win the Stanley Cup, like 10th overall in the league, ahead of Montreal. And I'm like, Ottawa's not even in a playoff spot. But everybody just believes that this team should be in the playoffs. And Alex, you've seen it. It's arguably the best defensive team in the league. They just needed goaltending. They give you nothing. And in the playoffs, as I say, defense wins you championships. I like this team's chances without getting way ahead like they're the greatest team ever assembled. No. I think whoever they face in the first round is obviously a challenge. I just think they can give them a run. Yeah, and by the way, just so we're clear, I don't think that Ottawa will fall out of this playoff spot.
Yeah, it will be if they do get in. I think like outside of maybe Tampa, that's the one team where I would feel okay. That's a pretty big mountain to climb, but they've been struggling of late as well. And like, look at a lot of the teams. Like, there's a reason why the team that wins the President's Trophy never wins the Cup. Like, you kind of have to be playing on a heater to make it in.
And adversity.
Typically, yeah.
If you win the President's Trophy, rarely have you faced adversity throughout the year because you've dominated so many games. That's the one thing. Remember Boston set the record. They were gone. I remember Tampa lost four straight to Columbus. They were gone. They had that magical season. Like that. Yeah. It takes so much out of you to win the President's Trophy. And I saw Ottawa do it too, is that by the time the playoffs roll around, you have nothing left. My only concern with Ottawa is, and you talk about them playing so well down the stretch, they've been doing this for 25, 26 games or so for like the last 2 months. By the time do they get to the playoffs, is there a fatigue factor?
The one thing that might prevent that is if they keep doing that for the next 5 to 10 games, and then they can actually rest guys down. Like, again, we're not at that stage, but if they do
Maybe.
that could maybe be the way to kind of, okay, Brady, you've clearly been banged up all season. Don't play the last
I'm
game or
tired
two
of
this
that excuse, Alex. I'm tired of it. I don't think that that's the case at all, to be honest with you.
with
You
Brady.
and I
You
have,
mean.
have both been around Brady Kachuk. It was the injury until the Olympics, then it was fatigue after. That was it to me. I think he's been
He
healthy.
was awesome last night. He was unbelievable.
It was good, yeah.
I loved Kachuk. That felt maybe not at the same level as that Islanders game, but he was just a force everywhere. And if his stick doesn't kind of wobble, he probably scores in the first period on that great play. And Yakimchuk set it up as well, like to the exit pass as well. But
that was such a weird play because I can't think of any time I have seen Brady on the right side on one knee, missing the like it just slides off his stick. But I like that play. I thought it was like, is that Tim Stützle? Because it's rare to see Brady down on one knee trying to one time a puck into the net. Anyway,
do you think he tried he intentionally tipped that goal? I was watching the replay and I couldn't tell like where his eyes were in relation to.
Yeah, but one of the things he does a lot in practice, as you know, he tips pucks every day in practice. That's somewhere that he has made a living, is in front of the net. He knows tipping pucks better than anybody probably on this team.
For sure. Kind of moving forward, like I guess just like where do you think, like how important is it that they win that game tomorrow against Pittsburgh? Just because, like, again, you lose one game, you're back, and do you think they're able to kind of sustain this without Shabbat and Sanderson for the next week, when they're playing some good teams as well?
Because the weekend is back to
Tampa. No, they play Tampa and then.
Is this the trip they go to Tampa then Florida? Okay,
yes,
I have it backwards.
I'll double check now, but yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Like in Tampa is hard. In Florida is going to be hard because they're going to have an off day where they're all going to be at the elbow room early. Those games are a concern for me when you get the nice warm sun and you just want to chill by the pool. Pittsburgh is a big game because they need to beat teams that they're supposed to beat. And I think Pittsburgh is one. Like Malkin is day to day, if I'm not mistaken. He's out. They have an opportunity. They need Linus Ullmark to be, as we've said all season, but to be the Vezina guy. He's been very good of late. What is he? I wrote it down this morning somewhere, but I won't be able
he's
to find
9.
it.
I believe he's like 9. He has a 902 since he's come back from his from the mental break leave, and he has like a plus 4.3 goals saved above expected. So like even though a 902, people are like, oh, that's not that good, he's still saving more. Like he's saving them goals more than otherwise. So it's not just the defense.
And it's like you can look at stats any which way you want, right? Obviously, but even if you go back, I think it's December 12th, like he has put up some really good numbers in the last 19 games. And
has he lost twice in regulation in the last 19? It's something crazy like that.
Yeah. And someday I'll find it, but I just can't have it in front of me.
The one thing I was thinking about, it's a little bit, I find with this team and him of late, it's a little bit Grant Fuhr-y in the sense of like, sometimes he hasn't been spectacular, but he just finds a way to win and finds like, and last night I thought he was spectacular, but the previous couple games.
So if he's 13-2-3 in his last 19 games, a 238 and a 900 save percentage. And this goes back before he left the team. I've wrestled with this one because you bring it up. Like if he just wins, do we care? All I want the goalie to do is just put up a W. If you have to allow, if you allow 3 goals and you still win, does it matter? I just want you to win hockey games, and that's all the Sens have done. Isn't that all you want? Like when you look at NHL records and into the Hall of Fame, they don't go, well, he had a 207 goals against every. No, it's like how many games did he win? For sure.
And I think that's the thing with him. Like that game last night, I wonder if it does wonders for his confidence as well. I found like even like he's had kind of moments where I think it was the Montreal game where he didn't end it well. He was just snagging pucks out of everywhere. He headed the puck out. I remember I'm like, wow, this guy is feeling it. And then it kind of precipitated, obviously, in a negative direction. But you're like, okay, like he sometimes gets a swagger and it feels like everything kind of exudes from there.
Yes. The only, and I don't know where I've had this conversation, and maybe I've been with you. The only thing that I want to see more of is the fire. It's just, he just stops the puck, which again is all he's probably hired to do. But there's no fire. There's no like, I will cut your legs out if you're in front of me and I need to see the puck. Like there's none of, I just want a little fire. But that's not his game, and it probably never will be. So I should probably just be quiet and watch him win games.
And maybe. And the thing, and I mean, it's good to see Reimer's playing well too, right? Like that.
Yeah.
It's clearly like they're getting goal saves now, and it just, right? And it's interesting, early in the year, like it feels like everyone's hypothesis was correct, right? If they get good to very good goaltending, they will go on a heater, and that's exactly what they've done.
Just average, Alex. By the way, Reimer 4-0 in his last. Well, I always get he's 4-0 in his last 4 starts. Thanks, Tips. He's won his last 4 straight games. He has a 1 goals against average and a .933 save percentage. This is a guy that didn't have a job in December. He has been very good when called upon. We talked about Levi Marilainen last year saving the Sens season. Maybe James Reimer has saved the Sens season a little bit here.
He really has. I thought he hasn't really had a bad game either. Like even when he was losing before the Olympic break, like they played against Nashville. I remember they blew that game. It wasn't his fault. It was like a bunch of breakaways and backdoor tap-ins. Like he's been more than adequate. And at times he's like, again, I said on your show yesterday, that save he made on Zibanejad last night. Or 2 nights ago, it's like the Sens should win that game 10 times out of 10, even without the 4 defensemen, and he makes that big timely save when they needed it, like Ullmark did last night as well. I
feel like he's had, so the Ranger game, he probably should have had the shutout, and I feel like there was another game where he should have probably had a shutout. I think they allowed a late goal. I can't remember off the top of my head. He's been money 100%.
He's been, was it? No, I'm trying to find it. I cannot find it. But, it wasn't the Calgary game. No, we got a shutout. Anyways, I can't find it.
Yeah. It's okay. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Oh, I know which one it was. It was Philadelphia, the last game before the break.
Yeah.
That was it. They were up 1-0 with like a minute left, and then they scored. Tim Stützle like broke his stick, and then he proceeded to score one of the nicest OT goals I've ever seen in my life. So you kind of made up for it. Maybe like keeping on kind of the defense, like how much credit, like should Travis Green now be in a Jack Adams conversation? I think he should be. If they make it, I think they should be. I'll double check where they are in team save percentage right now, but
I think 22nd or
I'll check.
Yeah, the team since January 13th is 22nd. So they're probably still near the bottom.
They are still last.
Yeah.
According to Natural Stat Trick.
And what's the number?
It's an 873.
So that's a historically low number. Now, I know that the numbers have changed a little bit this year with the way that they're weighting it. So I just want to know, who are you not selecting as your 3 finalists?
So this is my question for you, and I don't know, not to go all politician and answer a question with a question, but does Rick Bowness count? Like, I don't know.
How does he not count?
I just don't know
Didn't Jim Montgomery get votes when he became the interim head coach
in St. Louis? Yeah, probably. That sounds right.
Like, why doesn't, if you've coached one game, same with Kevin Adams. We can get to Kevin Adams in a sec, but I don't know why Rick Bowness wouldn't get. You're like, whoever votes. I don't think that there's some kind of limit of you need to coach 25 games to be considered. Okay, so give me, now that you've answered with an answer, a question with a question, give me your top 3 candidates currently for Coach of the Year.
See, I'm going to put John Cooper because I don't actually think that team is as good as their record in a lot of ways. I think they're good, injuries. But a lot of injuries and they survived it, kind of like the Sens.
Okay.
And I'm going to put Rick Bowness and I'm going to put Travis Green. I know Lindy Ruff deserves it, but I also feel like that team is on like a absolute heater. And honestly, for a long time, I thought they were better than their record. Like, I think they're a good team.
100%.
I don't feel like their record is necessarily completely, they're what, 26-5 in their last 30 games. Like, maybe they're not that good, but their record as a whole feels close enough to who I think they are. So those are my three.
So okay. So I don't like the coach of the year. It might as well be called most improved team, because it always is the team that always has the biggest point differential from the year before.
And I hate it. That's why I'm not voting for Lindy Ruff.
Well,
no shit.
And you don't get to vote anyway.
Thank God.
The John Cooper thing is interesting to me. I'm tired, and I don't like it's the longevity award. He should have won probably coach of the year already. But in order you to take a team full of superstars and make them all work together and win is not as easy as people think it is. I always remember before the salary cap era, the Rangers would just load up on all the free agents. Yeah. They would be just a disaster of an organization. They just couldn't win. It is tough to have all those personalities want to make plays and pass you the puck. It's that simple without being selfish. So I think John Cooper has done a phenomenal job. It's not, and I know it's not year over year, but I don't know what more he needs to do to be recognized as arguably the best coach in the game right now. Lindy Ruff, you took a team that was and you just took a bunch of pieces that were really good. Like, they have really good pieces. They just couldn't play as a team for whatever reason. It switched. I don't know how we not have him in a final three. And then on top, I don't argue your Rick Bowness, but then there's Joel Quenneville in Anaheim, and I know they're in the Pacific.
Yeah. As Mark Spector says, the pathetic division, which,
right?
One of the legendary.
Yeah, I get it. But they're
good. But I would say,
if you win your division, does that not mean something?
If it's the worst division in the league and you might not be in a playoff spot in the East, I get what you. I
That's
think
not the rules of the game.
I know. For me, it's like, who's done the best coaching job. I think Quenneville deserves a lot of credit too. I also think his team's super talented and they don't play well.
But you got to make them play. You got to work. Ottawa has had talented. They've had some fairly talented teams. They just couldn't figure out a way to get them to play.
DJ Smith was great. Yeah. Sorry. That was just for my own humor. Not putting you on the spot.
Just gonna take a drink of water here.
Yeah. But I guess my point is just like, if you're Travis Green, you've overcome just the worst goaltending in at one point statistically, and every metric tells you this team is the best or one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you look at their talent, they're not the most. I don't think they're the most talented team in the league. I think they're probably in the top 10. But they're not clearly Colorado or Minnesota or Dallas type talented. Nope. So that's my reasoning. And I just think now that the goaltending has kind of been average to pretty good, they're on the swoon. And I feel like the Sens are going to go deep in the playoffs. And so I think it'll work well that my vote is Travis Green. But that's just me.
What about and Pittsburgh is so and so right now, like Dan Muse in Pittsburgh.
Sure. Is this because you just don't want the Sens to be cursed by winning?
No,
Jack Adams.
No. It's just because you're almost eking to get in. I can argue for Travis Green to be in the conversation as well as not being it. I think where they are compared to where they were last year, people expected them to be challenging for second, third spot in the Atlantic Division, and they're now on Game 71, just finally in a playoff spot. That's all. Yeah, and I try not to type with my foam finger on all the time, but it gets tough when you're like, oh.
I'll get 1 second. I'll just make it complete. I'll just bring the bobblehead.
Yeah,
the latest bobble. Yeah.
So that's my only thing. I don't know how Lindy Ruff doesn't win Coach of the Year.
Yeah. No, and great for him. like they were a mess last year with him coaching too.
Yep.
And then he's turned it around. Happy for Josh Norris kind of finding his way onto a team. I still remember the pictures of him getting to Buffalo, and you're just like, oh God, I feel for this guy.
Crushed. Yeah.
And now he's going to be in the playoffs, and really, we're in a world where it's going to be Buffalo, Ottawa. I hope for that. Let's just say,
pretty good. It'd be pretty
don't
good.
Give me Carolina.
The atmosphere in Buffalo is going to be amazing for the playoffs. So I'm excited for them. They've endured a lot. So I hope they have a fun ride. If it's not with Ottawa,
do you think that the Sens, like if they get in, that the momentum that they've kind of been on will translate to success? Because like people forget the Hammond run did not end well at the end in the playoffs, right? Against Montreal.
He was exhausted. And Craig came in, like Andrew Hammond, like he had nothing left in the tank. But again, last year they did the same thing, right? They ran through to the end to make the postseason, and they went up against the Toronto team that they had a shot with, but they just didn't have enough horses. Yeah. That's my only concern when you're facing, like, let's give credit to the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Like, they're really good for a reason. It'll be tough for Ottawa. They will know how to play a defensive structured game. Hopefully they're not all banged up on the blue line and that they can put up a fight. This will be the Linus Ullmark. Again, the legacy of the playoffs. He doesn't have a very good playoff record. He's going to have to some point figure out how to win in the postseason.
Yeah. It's if they make it, and Shabbat's maybe out for the beginning of the playoffs, I kind of still think if they have Sanderson, they can weather it.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. They might be better defensively. They might just not score as much without Shabbat too, right? So there's this weird conundrum just with everything that's transferred. Maybe just but
Ottawa will. Sorry, I'll give one last thing on the playoffs.
No.
But Ottawa will have the second and third lines who have provided a solid bit of offense over the last few games. Like, they don't need to rely on Stützle, Tkachuk, Batherson all the time. They're, you've seen it. Warren Fogle, Shane Pinto, those guys are providing offense. Even Michael Amadio, who should probably have 50 goals on the season if he could score on breakaways. They have got depth scoring, and if they can get into the playoffs, those guys will be key.
And I think just on the point about wear and tear, like the fact that they don't just play Tim Stützle 25 minutes a night and just say, okay, like win us the, like McDavid and Draisaitl-esque. Like, this has been, like, the blue line may be different just with all the injuries of late with Spence and Kleven, but it seems repeatable to me. Just maybe on Kleven and Spence. Like, I find it interesting. Like, I feel like Kleven, as the season has progressed and the games get bigger, I feel like he just loves it, and just his game just goes. And it's just been interesting to see the last 2 years. It feels like that's been happening for him.
I remember watching, and I go back to this, Kleven and Matt and Paolo play in the playoffs in Belleville, and and they played really good together. And I'm like, those guys have a legit shot here. And Kleven, and this came up in our show, is like, I went to Yorkie, like our bona fide defensive expert on the team. Let's talk about Jordan Spence. He goes, well, I think Tyler Kleven is the most valuable defenseman we have right now. So there's a lot of, Tyler Kleven does a lot of things, and he does them well. And he is that big imposing presence when need to be on the blue line. He was really good last night in a career high 28 minutes. I
could see him pulling off a between the legs pass now. I feel like he's feeling himself that much, maybe. But
the K bum, he's fired up lately with whatever it's 3 goals in the last little bit here.
He's been unreal. And Jordan Spence too. Like, I find he's been way more physical. I find he's just been really good in his own end. Like, he hasn't made that many mistakes. Like, he told me, like, yeah, I don't mind playing more because I feel like I'm more in a rhythm.
Sure.
I don't have to. And I wonder if, like, a guy for him, like him, where he has a lot of puck touches, and if he plays 10 minutes, you're not kind of in the rhythm of the game. If you play 25, you're not thinking out there, and you're just reading, reacting. And I wonder for a guy like him, that kind of elevates his game
a little bit. Also, but if you play 25 minutes, you know that if you make a mistake or two, it's not going to staple you to the bench, which was the case early on. Because let's face it, Travis Green has trust issues. If he doesn't trust you, he doesn't give you a lot of ice time or leeway. And that was the case early on where Jordan Spence didn't find his way into the lineup because Travis didn't believe or feel that he was ready to play in that system. And look, we can argue all we want, but at the end of the day, it appears he's fairly right. And so Spence has played around 61 games. He's looked really good, but he's comfortable. You can tell he's not worried about a mistake as he was before. When you play 10 minutes and you make a mistake, you know it's going to be costly. So I like his game. I like his confidence.
I always find it interesting for guys like when it's such a fast game, and if you're trying to almost think it out at all because you don't want to make a mistake or you need to do a certain thing that you're not maybe as used to, I just find that's such a hard thing to do as a hockey player. Like, and I never played at a high level by no means. I'm not very good, but I just always think about that with a guy like Spence, where it's like, okay, you're a healthy scratch to begin the year, and then you come in and you're like, and he had a great start, and then he got healthy scratched again, I believe. After getting like 6
the health bomb, as they like to call it. Yeah.
Health bomb.
It makes me think of the line from Talladega Nights, like Ricky Bobby is a doer, he's not a thinker, or whatever it is, right? Like just put Jordan Spence's face on that. Jordan Spence is a doer, he's not a thinker, right? Once you start thinking, if you can't process it quick enough when you're thinking, then it usually leads to bad things. If your computer doesn't work quicker, then you're in trouble. So just play the game. Just feel the game.
Play the game. I will say, speaking on, just continuing on the defensive, just guys, Artem Zub taking down Alex DeBrincat was a sight to behold, I will just say. And I think a lot of Sens fans, I saw someone say from Russia with love. I thought that was quite
doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, what is so? The one thing I don't like is that you can, if you go on the non-world of Twitter, it'll say like, 6'2" or 6'3" Artem Zub taking on 5'9" Alex DeBrincat. Well, that's not actually what happened. And we all know Artem Zub's not a fighter. It's not like he's attacking Alex DeBrincat. If anything, he's like, well, you just stop. And so he didn't want to stop. And it's funny if you watch it again, because Zub throws a couple punches and it looks like it stings or momentarily pauses DeBrincat. And so Artem's like, okay. But then DeBrincat comes back and Zub's like, okay, can we just stop this, please? I don't know what, like I saw Zub had DeBrincat wrapped up, and I don't know if that's what caused DeBrincat to go off, but I don't know what the point was, to be honest.
No, it was what a testy affair. And man, to beat Detroit, who let's just say there's a lot of bad blood between the teams, the fan bases, like that's a pretty sweet victory. And like, I don't know if Detroit can recover from it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the games a couple years ago with Brady kind of taunting Detroit's nothing happened like that last night, but the Senators seem to come up big when it's up against Detroit in the big games, even though they had lost to them in every game before.
That's a big
one of the biggest one.
Yeah, like I don't think you can understate how important that game was. Do we call it the biggest win of the season? Yeah, 100%. Like they needed that win based on where the standings were, and
the good thing is the out of town scoreboard was like, here you are. Here's some good stuff for all your work, because they're now 1 point back of Boston. They're 1 point back of Pittsburgh. So that game, like, although Pittsburgh's in the wild or in the Metro spot, so it's like it matters only if the Islanders surpass. But either way, and then you're still 3 back of Montreal, which you could maybe make it into the Atlantic spot. Maybe
this has a Florida feel to it last year, right? Where they finished 1 point behind Florida, trying to chase them down.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
we'll see.
Maybe just I want to kind of turn maybe bigger picture a little bit with the Sens, because you've been around this team for a very long time.
Stop bringing that up. Yes, I'm old.
Okay. How old was I when I saw you at the World Juniors doing your hits? I can tell you how old you were at the 09.
Is that 09?
Yeah.
So am I. I can't do math quickly. 33, 43, 33.
Okay, I was, should I say it, or should we just leave it at understanding that I was a kid at that time?
Listen, Alex, this interview's over. So I think I was 36-ish.
36. Okay. I was definitely not 10. I'll just say that. I was definitely not 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm much wiser.
Are you? I believe it. I believe it. I guess just with this season, it feels like this has been one of the more up and down, sideways, turning, doing backflips type of seasons in Ottawa. From your experience,
Mm.
how does this season kind of measure up to some of the wackier seasons in Sens history?
So 2017-18, well, I think it's 2017-18, the Matt Duchene, Kyle Turris, Eric Carlson era season. That was an absolute debacle. And it was off the ice. That was just a mess. There was 05, 06 team, I think it was. Again, the off-ice stuff there was a lot of shit going on. Those two seasons will always ring out as, and besides, before social media, there was a lot of nonsense that was transpiring that just got covered up for sure. I'm going to go with those 2 years. This will probably be the number 3 of the seasons.
That's interesting that you put it up that high. Just with maybe the past, what was it like to kind of cover those teams while everything's kind of imploding around them?
When you're I'll call it mainstream media, you can't just go on air and go, well, I've heard that.
For sure.
And so it just kind of, it's there, you hear it, but unless there's any validity to it, my job isn't to report rumors of off-ice activity. Trade rumors are a whole different world, but all that stuff that if you can't confirm it, you can't report it. And so you kind of just knew it was bubbling. I remember someone in the organization telling me how much managing they had to do with like player wives in the 2017 season of it was just a mess. And that really created a lot of conflict around the team.
How do you almost approach that as a journalist?
You just watch it, right? Like,
yeah,
you're aware it's happening, but unless you get someone to comment, especially on camera, there's not much you can do about it. There's every team in the NHL and probably every team in pro sports. There's some kind of storyline off ice that's going on, but you can't just go, oh yeah. Like, let's take the Arthur Kaliev stuff. Like, I would never touch that unless I could confirm that as an actual story.
For sure.
And so it doesn't become really a story until the NHL goes, we have cleared Arthur Kaliev of anything. And you can go ask him if you want. It's unless he's playing in Ottawa, he's really not going to get asked very much, which is one of the reasons why I think he's played the entire year for the most part in Belleville.
Mm-hmm. What's it like now with your new show? And obviously you've been doing this for a while now, but just like you have players on all the time, but then sometimes, if some player plays poorly, you kind of can't just say, oh, he was great. Like, you can't just be, the foam finger only works so many times, right?
Fair and factual has always been the framing of our show. Yes, I know we have access to the players. Yes, I know doing a social media podcast, whatever show allows you a little more free leeway, but the players are aware. They don't have any issue if you criticize them for their play, none whatsoever. But you can't just go at them personally. So if I Drake Batherson was invisible last night, he's not going to be upset. And I don't know if anything has gone on off the ice of with any player, whether somehow they have bad news from home, anything that's affecting them that you and I, we just don't know. There's a lot of that stuff that goes on that we don't know what actually happens. So if we just say they have a bad night, or Tim Stützle was invisible again, or Brady Tkachuk, you need more from Brady. That was brought up a few times. That's fair game. And the players will always they won't have an issue with you. It's just when you try to get personal and you try to go at them personally, then they have issues.
Yeah.
And I would and Alex, the only thing I would always, and I'll add to that, because it's happened in the past. I could, there's been issues with Danny Heatley and some other players in the team. And you're like, I'm going to Danny, I need to ask you this question. I don't remember exactly what they all are. You don't have to answer it, but I got to ask it to you. And he's like, okay, I appreciate it. As long as you don't try to sandbag them and they understand you have a job to do, they will usually not have an issue with it. Sometimes they'll decline it, which is fair. They don't have to talk all the time, or they don't have to answer the questions.
What's it like for you now? You've developed a bunch of really good relationships with players, and like, what's that art of interviewing them on your show? Because I think that's something that is very hard to do, to get an NHL player to feel comfortable,
Yeah.
in front of a
Yeah.
mic. Like, how like, what's your approach?
It stresses me out every time. So, because you want to, like, the whole point of having a player on isn't to discuss how they like to play the left wing lock or how they like to drive to the net. It's what are they like personally? How do we find out info about them? Like, I can remember the Wally Method show, the very first guest we had was Alfie. And for whatever reason, at the end, I'm like, do you have a favorite? Sorry, I did know he liked chips. So I just remember I asked, like, do you have a favorite snack? And he ended up going, yeah, I like chips. And and it became a thing. Like, people like, did you know Alfie liked chips? And I'm like, it's those things that people remember. They don't care about the milestone goal as much as, yeah, like this happened or that happened, or Jordan Spence having dinner at Luka Doncic's house or whoever it was.
Yeah, no, you got it right.
That's the stuff you want to find. That's the stuff you want to find out, is the weird off ice. Just, you need them to relate to the everyday person, because let's face it, their lives are a whole different world compared to ours, based on their financial freedom. But they are normal people. They shovel the driveway. There is that stuff, and so you try to find that from them.
I think I texted you about it when you dropped it, but you had this. I mean, you've had a lot of great interviews with players, but I thought the one you had with Nick Cousins earlier this year was just like all time. Like, he
In the
was just
summer.
like,
Was it the one in the summer?
or it might have been
was it
earlier
earlier
in the
this year?
I think it was early in the season. Both. I mean, he's a very good quote, but I just remember, like, you just almost like pinpointed all the like good parts to kind of reveal his true character in like a really fun, awesome interview.
But a lot of times, Alex, that's by accident. Like, you hope, and so you come up with some questions, but I don't write any questions down anymore. Never. And that's when the relationships of what you build with them around. And so you get to have conversations where you can find out little bits of this or that. But for the most part, you're just trying to find something that they might answer that's a little different. But the credit goes to the player, because it's up to them how much they want to open up.
Sure.
And getting Nick Cousins, who is fantastic interview, to open up is one of my, like, if he ever retires, well, he will at some point, I suppose. I want him to be on the show full time, 100%.
Oh, interesting. I will not ask a four person panel. I like it. I like
we'll
the
just
sound of
don't worry, it's
the other thing I kind of, circling back a little bit, like, how different and how maybe similar are the Andlauer era compared to the Melnyk era?
It's a great question. Because there's two parts of the Melnyk era. There's the early on, and then there's the almost like the post liver transplant. There were just things like 2017, just things completely unraveled. It was even before 2017. Early on, it was great. Like, there was money spent. There was a team. I mean, they went to a cup final. There was a team that was trying to get built to be a contender all the time. He just wanted to win. He was a huge fan, whatever it took to win. But then stuff happened in his personal life, and I know he went through a divorce. I don't know what all the issues were, but stuff just seemed to unravel, and then it seemed to become a lot of money issues for whatever reason. The team just became cheaper, and I don't understand all of it. Doesn't matter, and that it just seemed to start to go downhill. And then if he got criticized, it really bothered him. Like we had conversations off camera, whatever, and just like, he didn't like to be criticized, and he took it very personally. And then Andlauer, like, it's everything about him at the moment, and it's tough to have $1 billion or be worth that and not have people not like you. But for the most part, he is very well respected, very well liked, outgoing, welcoming. Like, he and I don't know if I've ever.
I really like him.
Yeah, like I saw him in Vancouver. He gave me a hug, and I'm like, everybody hugs me. No, I'm just kidding.
I've never got a hug, Wally, but
no, don't expect one either. But he's like, I like him. Is he perfect? No. Is the team perfect? No. Are there probably going to be issues that come up that he'll get criticized for? 100%. I also think he will understand that. And I also think that the lines of communication are there, like that anybody can email him or call him or text them and just say, like, before I go and say this, like, what is the issue or what's happening on your end? I think he's very open that way. I don't have any issues approaching him. Like, to me, he's just Michael, happens to have a lot of money and controls the Ottawa Senators, but he's the same guy that I would go sit and have a beer with in a pub and shoot the shit over whether or not we like going to Costco.
And I presume you've been to a lot of Costco. That's funny. I presume you've been with a lot of billionaires before. So how does I feel like he's like maybe the most normal one I've ever. Again, only been around one, but I can't imagine most are like that, down to earth, I guess. Is maybe the right
word. Like, you don't get to have like, you've got to be a shrewd business person. You're going to probably have to piss people off in order to get to the top. I don't know that too many just easily find their way up to the top. He just seems like a normal guy. There's personal stuff that I've had conversations with him that always make me laugh that just make him seem normal. And I don't know if he wants them share. You know what? I will share one story. I got this notepad. It's actually this notepad I use all the time to write my notes with. And it's a guy named Michael Minot sent it to me. And it was over Christmas. He sent me a bunch of stuff from his company, Minot Construction. And there was a note on it, said like, Merry Christmas, have a great year, whatever. Love you, Michael. Something I can't, but it was signed Michael. And I went to reply to him, and I accidentally, when I took a picture of it, I sent it to Michael Andlauer. And he replies, like, what is this? That's not my handwriting. And I thought it was a joke. So I said, haha. And he's like, no, what is this? And I realized I'm sending it to Michael Andlauer. And I'm like, I totally apologize. And he's like, well, I hope it was a good gift or something. And I'm like, he's going to delete me. He's going to block me from ever having his number again because I'm just an idiot. Didn't realize that I sent it to the wrong Michael. Yeah. He's pretty good.
I have a little bit of this conundrum because one of my best friends is named Steve. And so I just see in my phone, it's like, oh, do not send that to Steve Sayos. Yeah. Do not ruin your career right now. It's a weird little.
I've done that. Ian Mendez would get a text from me that was supposed to go to another friend of mine that I just 100% all that. Yeah, he's like, Brent, it's not for me. Gotcha.
There you go. How do you feel about Ian Mendez being on the dark side?
Interesting.
I'm kidding.
So.
I love Ian. I just want to say that.
Yeah, but, we're full of disclosure. We're very good friends. I'd probably give my arm.
I'm kidding about the dark side as well.
Yeah. No, that's what we call it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I might give half my arm. I don't know if the full arm, maybe, probably. We'll see. I would do anything for him. It's just different because he knows stuff that I want to know that he can't tell me, and so we don't communicate obviously as often as we used to when we both worked in the media. Like, we did a lot of stuff together. So that's just different. It's just, we know the boundaries. I don't ever ask him to tell me something that he couldn't share publicly. And so we get along extremely well. It's just quieter. He doesn't answer my calls anymore. That's a big one that bothers me, but we do have a beer occasionally together.
That's good. Yeah, I do think that like it's just good to have someone that understands the team, the media landscape, everything. Just because the past was it was a tough ride. Okay, Brent.
It had challenges,
and you never dealt with any of it. So
they almost wouldn't give
me.
They wouldn't give me a media accreditation on the day before training camp. They didn't want to give me a media accreditation. So. And this is like I don't know, I've been probably doing it for like 18 years. They brought in a new PR person, Carrie Croft, but Melnick wanted to keep Don Brennan out of covering the Sens. So they came up with a 9-page media accreditation form. Now, just for an example, normally it's, do you need accreditation this year? Yes or no? And it's usually yes. That's it. That was the usual. So this became, give me 10 examples of your in-game coverage. What's the percentage of how much you covered the Ottawa Senators this season? Like, just really stupid questions. But the whole point was to have Don Brennan not do enough stuff that he wouldn't be allowed to cover the team. I wasn't filling it out because I'm like Carrie, like, I don't have 10 examples. I don't have any of the work I've done at TSN. I don't have like a shelf of any media stuff that I've done. So, and so they wanted 10 in-game hits that I have done. I'm like, Carrie, I see the form. I don't have them, but you can either not, or you can credit me if you want. She's like, I insist we have them. She used to keep calling me Brett. Brett, I appreciate it. We know exactly who you are, but we cannot. Now, we're at the Marshes golf course at this point. It is the golf tournament. The next day is training camp. She has down back by the putting green. I am up in the parking lot covering the players coming in. We're having this discussion over email that she is not going to accredit me to cover the Ottawa Senators. So I think eventually TSN gave them 10 examples of my in-game hits, and that's how I got accreditation. But I'm like the whole point was just designed to keep one person out of covering the team. That's the nonsense that went on at the later years of the Melnick era.
How much do you think just having coming in hot, have credentials, and be around the team the last 2 years, like it's just kind of like, whoo, like for your show?
Well, I have to work more. That's the
you don't like to work.
No, so when I lost my job, the Sens wouldn't give me accreditation. So for 3 years, I would just be able to be at home and just talk to. If I needed, I could just get a hold of the players. But now I'm at the rink all the time with you and stuff. It helps without question. Like I think we're the only podcast across the country that has 3 fully credited, individuals that cover the team, that get as many players on their shows as we do. Like we're very fortunate. I'm very thankful to Ian and to Sylvain and to the organization, because it had to get approved. There had to be conversations. And so I appreciate them doing it. I'm very humbled by it. I don't take it for granted, but it certainly helps without question. Yeah. Cause you get to be around the play, like understanding what they're going through on a daily basis in the room is invaluable. That's the stuff you just can't replicate anywhere else.
And, we were lucky enough to get this show kind of credentialed to go to Toronto recently and hopefully I think to many more games. But like, how much do you think this form of podcasting is like the next medium that's kind of not replacing, but is there are we have really strong numbers. And so you start to become a voice of the fans, of where they get their information. Like our shows, yours, mine, Locked On, like all these provide outlets for coverage for a team that when I used to cover the team on a regular basis, there were probably 6 cameras every day, probably 10 reporters. And now there's 3 reporters, there's 2 cameras, there's whatever, like there just isn't the same coverage. So do we pick up the slack or whatever it is? We just start to join and become just as mainstream. Like you're not going to read a whole lot more in a newspaper that you're not going to see on a social media platform somewhere. And I don't mean that disparagingly. I just mean that we now get to cover and provide the same kind of stuff as mainstream media does, if that makes sense. I feel like outside of the game day broadcasts,
right?
I think that's everyone goes to you, me, Locked On, Sens Talk, like a bunch of different, like as kind of what happened in the game, what should I know, how should I think about this, right? Like obviously TSN 1200 as well, but just that's the vehicle now. It's not just TSN Sportsnet and the
Citizen, you're seeing streaming services now broadcasting games. Like eventually streaming will probably at some point be where everything is at. Even like, to be way off topic, but Bell is now no longer offering you set-top boxes or PVRs. They're just offering you a streaming service where it's just the same, but everything is now hosted online. I believe that's where everything will end up at some point. It wouldn't shock me as you see like other podcasts, Spit and Chicklets, all that stuff get added to Netflix. That we're like, there is legitimacy in what we do. It always used to bother me early on, like, oh, you're just a podcaster.
Are you a local podcaster?
I'm a local podcaster. There is a lot of what we provide to fans that they like. And we have a great community, and I'm sure you do too. Like, you build a community of people you get to see around.
Do you find it, how humbling do you find it for you? Just like, I mean, you've been in this market for so long, but just to have like you're at a game or you're at a grocery store and people are like, hey, Brent, like I love your, like I find that such a weird, I mean, I don't get it as much as you. I know that for sure, but it's just a weird feeling to have this like parasocial relationship with fans. I find it different.
It is different, but I enjoy it. I love because people go, hey, I love the chit chat, or they don't like someone always has a comment about whether or not they like chit chat or whatever. I appreciate that. One, I like just having and shooting the shit about the Sens or whatever. I'm very appreciative that people support the show. Like we're gonna probably double all our views from the last year's into this year's show. Like I'm very appreciative of everybody that tunes in, that buys a mug or just likes to be in on the joke or joins the chat. Like they have to, and Alex, as you know, especially when you ask for guests, they have to give up their time. The only one thing they have that we just don't have it more of is time. And so I appreciate anybody that wants to give up time to pay attention to our nonsense. I fully embrace you.
Well, I have really enjoyed this chat. I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this, and I really appreciate this as well.
So thank you for buying some. I do
for sure. It goes to a good cause, and
that's one of the things.
Are you spicier or saltier? That's the thing I don't understand.
Saltier. But people are buying hundreds of bottles of this sauce to support our show and to support charity. That's one of my favorite things, to be able to raise money for charity. And people have really done. They've been really good at buying stuff. So just like you. So I appreciate that stuff like crazy.
Well, Wally, I'm excited to be beside you at the games in the press box. I think I'm going to be more optimistic right now, but I know it's kind of, we're teetering on.
It's pretty tough when I have a foam finger.
I need you to bring it to the press box once.
We'll see.
Just have it out between you and Graham Nichols. That'd be fun. You get to share it after every goal. There you go. But Brent, thanks so much for taking the time and doing this. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we can, for both of us, it'll be a fun April and maybe May and maybe even beyond in Sensland. So thanks so much for doing this, and we'll talk soon.
See you in the press box, Alex.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Sens Spotlight on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.